Hi, this is Mike from Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, and this is your Kenmore 504. And what a beautiful machine. And this is the final test before we pack her up and ship her out to you. And in this test we're going to go over the basic operation of the machine, how to thread her up, how to wind the bobbins, how to set the various controls. And so, without further ado, let's do that. Okay, we have power. You have your manual and your attachments. Set those aside here. Okay, we're going to start by winding a bobbin. And to wind a bobbin, you put your spool on the spool pin, go into the big curly Q thread guide on the front, down into this little tension device on the bed of the machine, and just slip it in. It's kind of a spring-loaded tension here. You just slip it in between the discs. And let's see, your bobbin is in the bobbin case, which is below the slide plate here. And make sure your needle's up out of the needle hole first of all, but your bobbin is in the bobbin case, and your bobbin case has a little latch here. As long as you're holding that latch, your bobbin won't drop out, so you can move it around. So hold that little latch handle out. Wait a minute. Actually, let it go, and now you can just drop the bobbin out. I'm going to take the old thread off because there's no reason to wind over it. Nobody ever goes back and uses the thread that they left on the bobbin, ever. So take the end of your thread and poke it through one of the holes in the side of the bobbin, from the inside towards the out, of course. Hold it with your finger and put a few wraps on the bobbin just to hold the thread in place while the bobbin winds. And then with the thread going on over the top, slip it onto the shaft of the bobbin winder. Turn the rubber tire until the little keeper pin on the bobbin winder slips into the little slot made for it on the side of the bobbin. Where it says push, you push it in, and the rubber tire goes up against the hand wheel, which is going to spin it. And this little finger here drops down into the bobbin. And as you wind, and the thread fills up, it's going to push this little finger up further and further and further until when the bobbin is full, it turns itself off and quits winding so you don't make a mess. So, push that in. Declutch your machine by turning the chrome knob in the center of your hand wheel towards you, 1/8 of a turn or so, until you feel it hit its stop. Now the hand wheel can spin and wind the bobbin without making the whole machine cycle. So here we go. Give it a little gas. Wind it nice, even layer of thread on the bobbin. And we don't need a lot of thread for this test. I need my scissors. I wonder where I put those. Okay, auxiliary scissors. Oh, here they are. Bury them under your suite of attachments. So we have about 4 inches of thread your bobbin. Flip this little finger up, and that releases your bobbin winder. Slide your bobbin off. Reclutch your machine by tightening the chrome knob in the center of the hand wheel. And now, with the thread coming off the top of the bobbin in this direction, drop the bobbin into the bobbin case. And guide the thread up into this little slanted slot on the side, and then up under the flat leaf spring until you feel it click into place. And that's your lower tension. So you feel just a little bit of drag on the thread now when you pull it. Now with this little finger here pointing up, hold it by the latch and slip it onto the post in the center of the hook down below the slide plate. Make sure your thread's not caught in the door of the slide plate. Close that up. And now to thread the machine, you put your spool on the spool pin, go into the curly Q thread guide at the top, down between the discs of the bobbin winder all the way around to the top again, and catch that little thin check spring at the top. Then go back down under the big thread guide here, that's just to the left of the tension assembly, and then through your take-up lever from right to left. And there you go down and catch the next curly Q thread guide, and then the next one at the bottom. And let's see, there's usually one on the, and the little curly Q thread guide on the needle clamp itself. Okay, there we go. I usually cut a nice fresh end on the thread because it makes it a whole lot easier to poke through the hole. And then put your thread through the eye of the needle from the left towards the right. Holding your needle thread loosely, turn the hand wheel towards you one full revolution, and the needle will take the thread down where the hook will pick it up and wrap it around the bobbin and bring up your lower thread. So one full revolution towards you. And there's your lower thread. Put your thread between the toes of the presser foot towards the back of the machine, and it's ready to sew. And you slip your fabric under the presser foot and lower the presser foot using the lever on the back. This is the tension adjustment, the pressure adjustment for your sewing foot. The further down you press it, the more the foot presses on the fabric. And the little trigger on the side releases it. So that's zero pressure. We're going to go down about halfway, roughly. You want just enough pressure on your sewing foot to move the fabric along with authority. And for different fabrics, you'll have a little bit of different adjustment. On thicker, heavier fabric, you may want a little less pressure. For a lighter fabric, you may need to go down just a little bit more. But if the fabric is not moving along nicely, play with your pressure a little bit and see if it needs a little more or a little less pressure. This is your stitch length adjustment. There's a 0 mark in the center, and from the 0 mark going down, your stitches get longer and longer and longer and longer until your longest stitches are at the bottom. From 0 going up, your stitches get longer and longer and longer, but in reverse. So we're going to set it about 2. This knob on the bed is your feed drop. It drops the teeth of the feed dogs down if you want to do machine embroidery or quilting or something where you're going to be moving the fabric around rather than the teeth of the feed dogs moving the fabric. In that case, you would turn that knob to the left. You'd release all your pressure on your sewing foot, and then you're in control of moving the fabric. We're going to put pressure back on, and we're going to turn this to the right to the U or up position. This is your stitch width, and you can press down this little lever here and set your stitch width wherever you like. It goes from 0 all the way to 4. But if you don't use this little chrome lever and just turn your knob by hand, oh wait, maybe you can't do that. Okay, never mind. Okay, I'm going to leave it on 0 for now. Leave it on 0 for now because we're going to do a straight stitch with no zigzag. You also notice that there is a dot here which corresponds to your buttonhole lengths. But you'll read about that in your user manual, how to make buttonholes. We're not going to do that today. That's everything. Your light switch is here. All right, we're ready to sew. So we're at 2 on the stitch length, 0 on the stitch width, and we give it a little gas, and away we go. So don't push or pull your fabric. Let the machine move it unless you're doing freehand sewing, because you don't want to accidentally flex the needle a little bit and have it miss the needle hole, because then the needle will hit the stitch plate and bust your needle and possibly put your machine out of time. So best just to let the machine do the moving. We're going to add some stitch width now. I'm going to take it all the way. Oh, okay. So you can do that. If you set the chrome knob all the way over to this side, you can change your stitch width while you're sewing. If you want to do fancy patterns, you know, have it widen and narrow and widen and narrow, something like that. That's how they used to do it before they started using stitch pattern cams, or as an alternative to stitch pattern cams, because I think this machine is a little bit after the advent of stitch pattern cams. So anyway, I'm going to move the chrome knob over to the left until the little pointer is all the way at the 4. So we're going to do your widest zigzag. Now you can see that you're moving back and forth with this. And you know, this is probably old hat for you. You probably already know this machine and how to use it, but we're going to post this video to YouTube for the sake of other owners that don't know how to work their machines yet. You're going to want to oil her after every 8 hours or so of sewing. Just one drop in each of the oiling points, and again there's a diagram in your user manual that will show you where those oiling points are. I'm going to put this back to 0, back to straight stitch. I'm going to leave that at the 2 position, though it might get moved in the packing. No big deal. If you fire it up and it's going in reverse, just move this lever down. When you oil, it's a very good idea to now let me take that out. It's a good idea to take the this plate off, your needle plate. There are 2 screws, real simple. Take the needle plate off and brush out all the dust and lint around the feed dogs and vacuum it out. The thread lint and fabric lint, I guess, too, is kind of abrasive, and it will probably over a couple of centuries wear down your parts. It's actually not that big a deal, but it is a good idea to get in there and clean that dust and lint out. And that's about it. I can't think of anything else. So if this is somebody else who's found this video on YouTube, we are Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, and we've been restoring worthy sewing machines since the end of the last century, way back in the 1900s, and we're good at it. We've restored well over 1,000 machines, probably a couple thousand machines by now. There was 1,000 machines 10 years ago. And if you have a machine, or you want to get your mom's machine repaired, I'm sorry, I have had my coffee today, even though it doesn't seem like it. If you want to have your mom's or your grandma's machine restored or just up and running again, send us a message. There will be a link somewhere around here on this video. But we are again Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine. We're on Stagecoach Road up here in the Coast Range of Oregon. So stagecoachroadsewing.com. That's where you'll find us. And we'll see you there.